All right. Don't know what I'm doing. I was gonna do a research stream today, and then I realized that it's a bad idea because um I'll have to break copyright law like literally 1,000 times to do that. So maybe I'll do it one day in the future, but not today. What are we doing today? I don't know. I didn't plan anything. But I do think that you guys aren't playing the new sound alerts anywhere near enough. Like, what the fuck are you doing? So you can spend bits to play sound alerts. Why wouldn't you do it?
If you don't trust the CIA, then who do you trust?
The Grayzone article that spins into an anti-lockdown. Are you familiar with the Grayzone at all? What's your view on China? What's your view on being timed out? Ba ba ba. Come. All right, so BreadTube is CIA. That's a good one. I mean, Vorsh is he's not CIA, but he definitely does what they, he does them a good service. But I mean, I already saw this. It's really great. The Grayzone like extrapolating from the smallest thing to basically say that they list like a bunch of people. So what actually happened here? So Grayzone say that they have a leaked document exposing psyops or something, right? And the document itself is inherently unverifiable, whether it's actually real or not, because the only thing that, just that say so. The Grayzone's not exactly and they just upload it on ufile.io. You can't even upload it on your own fucking hosting. Like, what the fuck? Honestly, man. I'm not registering free. So it's like, this is probably, like, this is the least vettable document ever, right? There is literally nothing here to indicate that it's real. It's like a default fucking Microsoft Word template. It's not digitally signed. Like, there's nothing about this to prove that it's real, for one. It's not even an actual government document. It's a government from a PR firm contracted by the government, at least according to the Grayzone. Well, let's assume that it's real anyway. But it doesn't really sound that outlandish. So, when you actually look at the the context of this, right? Like, it's like from February 2021 or whatever, claiming that they were going to like make some like basically a PR firm, apparently contracted by the government or something, the UK government. And the relevant part is of this document is that they said that they would use contract Abigail Thorn, aka PhilosophyTube, to be like, I guess, like the public face of this campaign. And this is from February 2021. So it seems incredibly unlikely that they actually went through with this, because it's been like 10 months now. And the goal of the campaign was basically to counter COVID misinformation, like anti-vaxxers, anti-lockdown people and such. So what we have here is essentially a guilt by association, at least according to Greyzone. I mean, I'm not going to look into it further, but I at least trust them to say, this business has probably been involved with government contracts to like delegitimize Assad or something. That's realistic. So let's say that's true. This business has been contracted by the UK government to attack Assad or something before. Okay, that's not. Even if we assume this is true, that's not what she was being contracted for. Governments contract PR firms all the time to do a myriad of shit. That the fact that she apparently, like, this isn't, by the way, this is nothing about contracting her. It says nothing about her actually agreeing to do it. It's just like partners collaborating on this project. If she collaborated on the project, where's the fucking evidence of it? Like, what did she do for this project? Like, let's see what the actual outline of it is. Most of it is just like internal data gathering, studies, blah, blah. Video release and associated publicity from 14th week and onward. Has she released any video that could possibly be related to this? By the way, it's how do you spell Abigail? I don't know. It's weird because I guarantee you that most of her audience is from the US. So the UK government obviously would be contracting a PR firm with the goal of that PR firm reaching the UK demographic specifically, not just to release a video on her channel generally, right? So I would say this probably doesn't really have much to do with her YouTube channel. Like a mass social media campaign. If you've seen anything about that on her Twitter, let me know. She hasn't released anything, possibly. I mean, aside from her video on, like, should we trust the experts or whatever, which didn't really get that many views, and it was quite a while ago. Where is it? Yeah, that was a year ago. That was before this project was even supposedly a thing, if it's even real. It's also very weird. Like, as I said earlier, right? It's a PR firm contracted by the government to essentially run a public health awareness campaign, okay? That's not the same thing as the government, like, contracting the same PR firm to run, like, an anti-Assad imperialist campaign or whatever, right? So they're basically trying to imply guilt by association here. And she's not, like, involved in, like, a psyop or anything. She's involved in essentially a social media campaign run by a PR firm on behalf of the government to essentially attack anti-vaxxers and anti-lockdown people, which is hardly a bad thing on the face of it, Like, you could say maybe she should have done more research into who she was working with, but the fact of the matter is that PhilosophyTube doesn't talk about this sort of thing. If anything, she, like, leans slightly anti-imperialist, I guess, just from, like, osmosis from her videos, but she doesn't talk about that sort of thing. So to say that she's, like, someone who would, like, attack Assad or whatever to be pro-imperialism or whatever, it doesn't really fucking hold any water, because her videos are all fairly abstract, and none of them, from what I know, have even remotely kind of addressed those sort of narratives. Imperialism in any real direct way. If anything, I would say that most of her videos presents things in a way that would be very inconvenient for the government that supposedly she's working on behalf of, according to these people. So at best what we have here, at very worst what we have here is PhilosophyTube should have looked into, if this is even real, by the way, because nothing has come of this at all yet. It's from February. It's been 10 months. Where's this campaign? Where's the results of it? There's literally nothing. So if this is even real, which is debatable, at best you can say that she should have looked into who she was working with. you know, that's all. Though, still, what she's apparently doing here, if it's even real, is not remotely bad. It's a fucking public health care, like a public health awareness campaign on behalf of the government. The only reason that it seems nefarious because it's run by a PR firm the UK government apparently likes to contract for various things, including attacking the Syrian government. Like, if she had been, say, directly contracted by like the health ministry or something to do this, these people wouldn't be talking about it at all. That wouldn't seem weird at all. That it's like guilt by association, right? Like this PR firm has worked on other things for the UK government, and therefore apparently Abigail Thorn is linked to those other things. She's pro-imperialist. It doesn't make any sense. This also has nothing to do with like intelligence agencies or anything. It's above what a PR firm bullshit. Now, the reason why the Greyzone is trying to play this up is, for one, because, you know, they're very into these sort of conspiracy theories where, like, it's impossible for just, like, liberals to have bad opinions. Liberals can only have bad opinions as a result of, like, a massive conspiracy tied to intelligence agencies or whatever. So, you know, and the thing is, philosophy isn't even a liberal with bad opinions, right? Nothing that she said on her channel is really objectionable. I don't think these people would disagree with it at all. So it's just, they're reaching totally. And it's like, so because she, according to this document that is completely unverifiable and looks like anyone could have made it in Microsoft Word, I could have made this in Microsoft Word in like 5 hours, like from concept to finish. Like, because of that, can we like look at, I'm gonna like try to look at like the data on the actual document and see when it was created, just to make sure that, I mean, you can change that very easily, but doesn't seem to have any data saved, so it's like completely untraceable. There's no proof that this is a real document. But aside from that, as I was saying, like, the thing about this is they take her, someone who at worst makes videos that would be found inconvenient for them by most governments, and they take that and use it as like apparently some sort of like extrapolation. Like they basically extrapolate it to try and say that Abigail Thorn is part of a vast conspiracy involving everyone who can be considered a BreadTuber. So like lumping her in with actual imperialists like Vorsh to try and say that basically all of them are like psyops by the CIA or whatever. And like they're trying to literally compare like a anti-Assad imperialist psyop to like a pro-vaccine, pro-lockdown like government campaign in the UK. And the reason why they don't like that is because Max Blumenthal is an anti-vaxxer, anti-lockdown conspiracy theorist. He's basically a fucking QAnoner at this point, okay? That's why. And it really ties into other stuff with like, you know, the ridiculous bullshit that these people say that, like, basically because a bunch of BreadTubers are either imperialists or mostly silent on imperialism, that means that they are like a psyop, like PhilosophyTube, for example. There's literally nothing about her. You could remotely say that she's an imperialist. There's nothing there. And this is what I mean, right? You can read in the article. In this article, they try to link this to, like, Caleb Maupin. And it's like, in his book, Caleb Maupin, socialist organizer Caleb Maupin, likened BreadTube to the counter-gangs deployed by British and UK and US intelligence to infiltrate and dismantle insurgent forces. With no evidence, I might add. This is, again, there is no evidence for what they're claiming here, so they're latching on to the smallest little thing, like completely unverifiable documents that look very fake, though that could be real, who knows, that even if we take them at face value, don't even remotely indicate the things that they're trying to extrapolate from them. Like, Yeah, like, they quote Caleb Morpin saying that BreadTube is likely serving the American ruling elite and the intelligence agencies. Likely. Likely, right? Because there's no evidence, just likely. And they say here, the covert relationship between BreadTube's Abigail Thorn, Valiant Projects, and the Royal Institute appears to validate Morpin's thesis. No, it really doesn't. It really just doesn't at all. Like, that's just a massive leap, right? There's, like, they don't actually have, any evidence for any of that shit. So they have to just jump onto anything. Like, there's nothing here. Like, the evidence that Morgan presented in his book was like, Vorsh has a rich dad from Beverly Hills. And now we have the second piece of evidence, finally, the smoking gun. PhilosophyTube was allegedly contracted by a PR firm to run a pro-vaccination, anti-lockdown, or to be like the public face of a pro-vaccination, anti-lockdown campaign on behalf of the UK government. I'm sorry, I just don't care. I really don't care about that. Like, that wouldn't be any, it's not weird. It wouldn't be, like, it would be basically exactly the same if it was run by the UK Ministry of Health. It's just like, this is what neoliberalism is, especially in the UK. Like, governments contract PR firms instead of doing shit themselves a lot now. Morpin continued, BreadTube socialism is not really socialism. It's mobilizing young liberals to keep dissident elements in line. Yeah, that's true. However, I mean, Max Blumenthal isn't a socialist either, so I don't know why he would care. I don't know why he would quote that. Now it's like the national security establishment's favorite socialists. Artisanal audio and visual effects. So they like describe PhilosophyTube's YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, like, they describe BreadTube saying, BreadTube advances a hyper-identitarian, I don't think they know what identitarian means, imperialism-friendly interpretation of socialist politics. Again, I want to know how her videos are imperialist-friendly. And they like start talking about Vorsh. Like, yeah, they don't actually cite any evidence here. They just like basically take like this one unverifiable document that they claim is true and extrapolate from that to be like, so we're going to list like everyone from Caleb Morpin's book who Caleb Morpin said were bad and extrapolate from that to say that all of these people are CIA agents. It's obviously absurd. And they talk about Sean too. Oh, they attack Sean here for and what's the evidence against Sean? Okay. So Sean attacked Jimmy Dore for being an anti-vax COVID denialist piece of shit. And the evidence that Sean is a psyop is that his video has apparently benefited from an algorithmic boost. And then they quote, like, so if you actually look at the evidence here, like, this entire article is a nothing. It's nothing. I don't know how, there's probably like some logical fallacy to describe this. It's nothing. There's no evidence. Like, they get this one thing, like, isn't nearly as significant as what they claim it is, and possibly isn't even real, and they use that to claim that one, PhilosophyTube is like a intelligence agency imperialist or whatever, and two, so they like extrapolate from that to say, like, so all of these other people who this has absolutely nothing to do with in any real way, all of these other people, they are also intelligence agents. And what is our evidence for this? Well, actually nothing, but here's a quote from Caleb Maupin, who says, all the key signs of infiltration are there. Since when does US mainstream media highlight the work of Marxist revolutionaries? I mean, no one thinks that these people are Marxist revolutionaries. Not even they do. It's just like, hey guys, there's no evidence here, but the signs are there. And he says, Caleb Maupin says, I have had no doubt they were covertly supported by powerful entities. Man, having no doubt when you have literally nothing to go off is very interesting. That is amazing. There's nothing here. Like, this is what I mean with the Greyzone, right? I've said this before, probably never really prominently, but what they always do is they take like a relatively small piece of evidence and they extrapolate from that to form a vast conspiracy. And whenever it's correct, which is sometimes, because, it's not exactly hard to be correct when you like say, hey, maybe the USA is involved in something in some country that they don't like or whatever. It's always by like coincidence rather than because they actually had any evidence to form the conclusions that they're forming. Here's another piece of their evidence. PhilosophyTube attacked Jordan Peterson in a video which was openly sponsored by CuriosityStream. And they're like, it's a paid promotion. Wow, isn't that so nefarious? And they say, yet no such disclaimer referring to support from the royal institution can be found on any of her other uploads, and that may be because the COVID campaign was intended to be covert. It may be because there's literally no fucking video on her channel which even remotely fits with what these people are saying. There's nothing here that even remotely aligns with the supposed campaign that these people are saying that she was participating in. There's nothing here. There's nothing about COVID. Literally nothing. Not even remotely related. Nor imperialism or whatever. Yeah, so here we go. This is like the anti-vax part of the article, where they just start talking about like how, essentially like Max Blumenfeld is a massive anti-vaxxer. I don't know how he became an anti-vaxxer because everyone else in the Greyzone seems to be pro-vax except him. But he's also the editor-in-chief of the Greyzone, so he gets to publish whatever he wants. I wonder if Ben Norton is signal boosting this, because I know that Ben Norton is pro-vax. Of course, you're not allowed to look at Twitter unless you're signed in. I feel like Ben Norton is there's two chances. Ben Norton is either just silent and pretending this isn't happening, or he's signal boosting it and he's just dropped like any semblance of being tied to reality anymore. Yeah, so Ben Norton is literally here attacking anti-vax misinformation 10 hours ago. He's still attacking anti-vaxxers. As of 10 hours ago, he's debunking right-wing lies about vaccines, while his partner is doing the exact fucking opposite. Yeah, he's quiet on this. Yeah, there's nothing. This is weird. It's very weird. Yep, he's praising Cuba for their vaccination campaign. This is very weird. Like, there's a split in the Greyzone. No, Vax Moonfall is absolutely anti-vax. If you lie about this shit in my chat, you're being banned, okay? It's also like, if you call yourself a tanky and you're not pro-vaccine mandate, you're not a fucking tanky. You want to be a tanky? Okay? You want to be a tanky? Here's what you should be. Anyone who's not vaccinated goes straight to the fucking gulag until they get vaccinated. That's what a real tanky would say. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking liberal. At least be a good tanky. Ben Norton's a good tanky. You're a fucking piece of shit. You can, yeah, you want to not be vaccinated? Great, you can be free to play cards with your buddies in the fucking gulag until you die of hunger. You have a week. What if someone called it fucking tanky talking about government overreach? What the fuck is wrong with you? You have tanky on your username. Yeah, this is all just anti-vax shit, anti-lockdown shit.
Feels like he supports the Holocaust.
The anti-lockdown shit is especially weird because Greyzone people were like, praising China for how they tackled COVID with massive fucking lockdowns. The best lockdowns in the entire world, actually, aside from maybe Vietnam. Most effective. That really dealt with the violence because they didn't take any half measures. They didn't take any chances. They just went all out right away. And they worked. But somehow, when Western countries try to do the same, like a year and a half later, it's like a secret campaign by the CIA and also BreadTube or something. Okay, so apparently the people who are involved in writing these documents have even stated that they believe that they have been doctored. So there's no confirmation of their authenticity from the people who made them. So the only thing that we have to go on here is the word of the Greyzone. And aside from that, there's no evidence whatsoever that Philosophy Tube has been involved in anything. There's nothing on her YouTube that aligns with this at all. Nothing on her Twitter that aligns with this at all. Nothing anywhere that aligns with this supposed campaign. And even if it was a real campaign, working on behalf of a PR firm to run a social media campaign that promotes vaccines and COVID measures in order so that people don't die is not bad. At the very worst, as I said earlier, you could say that she should have looked into who she was working with more before accepting it. Because if as the Greyzone says, this firm has been involved in pro-imperialism psyops before, then obviously she shouldn't have worked with them. But, wow, Abigail Thorn was a guest of honor at an event promoting the incredibly effective and safe vaccines that everyone should take. Wow, that's so nefarious, man. I can't believe that she would do that. This is so nefarious. Like, the Greyzone is a fucking joke. Anyone who reads this shit, there's still nothing. There's no evidence. There's nothing. It's just she attended a like an online conference where she said that vaccines are good. Okay, good for her. I'm glad she did that. Like, there's literally like, it's like trying to prove a conspiracy about something that's not even nefarious in the first place. Like, the only way this can look like a conspiracy is if you're a fucking anti-vax, COVID denialist nutter. It's like trying to say that the government is like running a fucking conspiracy to give people welfare or something. It's that fucking stupid. The government is running a conspiracy to give disabled people a pension. News at 11 about how a PR firm is trying to tell disabled people to apply for the pension that they're entitled to. News at 11. It's exactly that. It's that same sort of thing. It's fucking stupid. This goes on and on. It just keeps going on and on, and there's nothing. There's nothing. There's no evidence. Like, as I said, from one little thing that isn't even remotely as significant as they claim it is, they extrapolate and just like list, like it's just a barrage of tangentially related things, like an endless barrage of guilt by association. This is absurd. It just goes on and on and on. It's like, God. It is simply inconceivable that similar operations have not been enacted elsewhere in the world. Okay, I don't care. Yeah, governments around the world are definitely promoting vaccines. I don't need the Greyzone to tell me that. And it's good that they do that. They should do more of it. But yeah, there's nothing here. To just like take one little thing that is basically nothing, not even remotely nefarious as they're trying to claim it is, and they just like lean into like a massive guilt by association fallacy, firstly on Abigail Thorn, and then they try to say that because she's like in like the same like kind of niche YouTube genre that some other people are also in, those other people, they're also part of this conspiracy too or something. And then it goes on into like just talking about a bunch of other shit that is even less tangentially related. Like this is awful. This is terrible. As someone who puts a lot of care into crafting what I write and trying to make sure every little bit of it is so clearly linked to like the last thing that I talked about or something I talked about earlier through very clear and obvious evidence, like this is nothing. This is awful. This is how the Greyzone operates. This is why you shouldn't read them. It's nothing. It's awful. It's terrible. It's a complete fucking joke. And the entire thing like relies on this equation of it relies on this equation of UK imperialism with the UK wanting people to get vaccinated within the UK and like wanting them to obey COVID measures so that they don't fucking infect people and die. It's just fucking stupid. The Greyzone's dumb. I've had enough of that. I've said everything there is to say about it. It's just very weird. Like the Ben Norton split. Like I honestly wouldn't like Ben Norton is posting very pro-vaccine stuff. Very pro-vaccine. Like I'll give him that at least. Good on him for not falling into the conspirational shit as Blumenthal has. I don't know if Norton's going to stay with the Greyzone. Like he's just going to ignore it and keep writing for them. Just pretend that it's not happening. He doesn't comment on it at all. What he's posting is completely completely out of line with what Blumenthal is posting. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I need water. One moment. Play Assad song. See, I support Assad. You can't say I'm a psyop.
الشعب السوري بالساحات للمجد بيرفع رايات عم يهتف بثلاث كلمات الله وسوريا وبشار كنيسة وجامع متحدين والمحط بعنوان الدين وملايين السوريين وما بدهن إلا بشار